Hi, folks. This is Mountainman coming to you from parts unknown. How is everyone tonight? I hope you're doing well. And yeah, I got up late, but at least I got up, and here we are. We've got a very unfortunate situation with what's going on in the Middle East. We've got loss of service people's lives over in the Middle East, and Trump has made a statement on that, and we've got continuing controversies going on. But, it's all Trump's fault, and everybody should just accept that and vote for Biden. I'm just kidding. Anyway, folks, and we're going to talk about a lot of stuff tonight. I got a lot of clips I'm going to talk about, and I was going to put in my thumbnail spin masters versus truth tellers, okay? Because we got a lot of spin going on, and unfortunately, we've got a couple of generations of Americans who mean well and want to prevent past mistakes in history from repeating themselves, but they don't know the history. They're being told garbage about World War II, garbage about the Civil War, garbage about a lot of things, even daily events that happen before our eyes. They don't give us the truth about it. And hey, we got to be able to be intelligent, we got to be knowledgeable, and we got to counter the narrative. So that's what it's all about, folks. That's what it's all about. Hi, Kim. How you doing? Sherry, how you doing? B-Dog. Let me see. I've got a little thing here. Patriot Missile. Alan, Linda Marie, Sharon, Debbie. Everybody's rolling in. That's good. I got a couple of trivia questions tonight I want to ask the chats. Cameraman, how you doing? Diane, Jersey Joe. Ha ha ha. Debbie. Sharon's here. Linda's here. Okay. So I got when we get enough people in, I'll ask a trivia question, because and no Googling. That's the rule. Mountain Man trivia, no Googling. If you don't know it, you don't know it. Give everybody a chance in the chats. I see people ask questions on other live streams, and somebody comes up with the answer right away because they sit there and Google it. Use your brain, all right? Because you're not going to be able to pull your phone out all the time, okay? Or when you're sitting thinking about life, and you think of past events or other examples or jokes or any type of thing. What is your phone replacing your brain? Is Google replacing your brain? That's what they want. Okay, so don't fall into that. So anyway, I was just asking. I'm just asking. Don't get sensitive with me, Mr. Jeanette. I can't pronounce that name. I'm sorry. Let's see, Janasic. How you doing? I haven't seen you in a while. Where you been? Okay, so anyway, everybody knows the rules, no Googling. But, I got a couple of examples of how the media is so abusive, okay? Abusive of people's freedom of speech, and how we all know that they plow their narrative through. And, but I'm just going to keep putting examples of it up there, okay? And, I want to thank Mike and Bev for going to Buymeacoffee before I went live. And let me see here. Let me see how this notification worked. It worked pretty good. It says, here we go. I clicked that button. I don't want to, we enjoy me. you bantering back and forth trying to get freedom. Well, I won't talk about people in the chat, but about getting someone on board. But educating them is like wrestling with a pig in mud. You soon realize you can't win because the pig loves the mud. Well, anyway, thank you for stopping by, buy me a coffee and help me out. Anyway, hi, Alicia. Hi, Jared. So, no, we got to get people, if at all possible, hey, they might not come back, and a lot of people enjoy the back and forth, and hopefully we can educate people to our way of thinking. Maybe they won't agree right away, but you plant seeds, not trees, right? So, hi, Phil. Yeah, they want to go to and then ran with a special deliveries. Hi, Jared. Well, they changed things, Jared. They changed things. For example, I took a video of Alina Habba defending herself and Trump out after that verdict. And on the same platform, I got a couple of other clips. But when I went to play Alina Habba, no sound. I have a clip where I wanted to show how they harass and berate Peter Navarro and how they misrepresent the current posture of his battle with the courts and the communist media. And they drown out their harassment. When I replay the video, you can hear Peter Navarro better than when you listen to the original video, which is rife with horn honking, bell ringing, bunch of nonsense while he's trying to speak. So they mess stuff up, and they got a way of doing it. I'm hoping that they'll be. Well, I know that it's being monitored, and they're going to find out who's behind some of this stuff. It's just disturbing the flow of information to push a narrative. Okay, but anyway, I got a little meme there for you: the butt Trump card, and the one on the right. I was thinking about putting some verbiage on that and make a meme out of it. Bill, ? I don't need no stinking bill. Oh, where Trump's got the cowboy hat on. And my first, since we got some people in here, my first trivia question. Because the saying was, badge, I don't need no stinking badge. That's I bet most of the people in chats right now have heard that before. Badge, I don't need no stinking badge. Where'd that come from? No Googling. No Googling. If you Google, you're a cheater. And we got enough of those in Washington, D.C., and a lot of us right across the street or next door or in your house. We're going to try to get them to understand that, a democracy does not need cheaters. But anyway, I got some memes and things that I found. I got over 1,000 images out of my device. And I found some that blast from the past. So I'll be putting some of that up tonight too. Let's see. Hi, Wanda. How you doing? Karen, how you? Jerry. Yeah, Eric Holder. Yeah, he's a creepo that didn't show up and was held in contempt. Wanda said, do you think they'll eventually be able to sue? Yeah, Peter and Mr. T. A lot of them. A lot of them would be able to sue. And, some of it, like the patriots that signed the Constitution, a couple of them lost their lives. Some of them had their houses burned down, you know, and it's part of the cost of serving your country, you know. Yeah, Debbie, Clinton point. Well, there's problems with every judge in every case, and that's going to be starting to come out. And I'm going to go over that Angoran and this Kaplan character. Kaplan's got a huge conflict of interest on top of everything else that he did not disclose. Hi, Ian. Hi, Nikki. How you doing? Let's see. David, how you doing? So, anyway, let's see what we got here. And some of my climate deniers, I've got, that they're the climate deniers. They deny that God's in charge of the climate and there is no climate change. So they're the deniers, you know. Oh, here we go. We'll start off with this. Get it out of the way. Look at Zelensky. Look at him picking his nose. No, he's not. He scratches his cheek. Ukrainian weapons budget. Ukrainian Defense Ministry officials are accused of conspiring with an arms firm to embezzle almost $40 million earmarked to buy weapons. Well, we know that was true, as I broadcast before. The Russians were mocking the West, okay? They told Italy, look, we just bought 2 of your Caesar heavy artillery pieces that cost you all upwards of 60 million. I forget how much it was a piece. For 10 cents on the dollar, we bought them out in the field, okay? They're delivered to the battle zone. Russia just bought them off a bunch of crooked Ukrainian officers, brand new artillery for 10 cents on the dollar. Don't you know, a couple of weeks later, the prime minister of Italy resigns. But did the media report any of that? That was 2 years ago, a year and a half, 2 years. No, they didn't report it. Okay, now it's coming out on Breitbart. Is anybody in the regular media going to report that? Oh, it's only $40 million. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Dan Scavino, he put this post up today. He put this post up, well, yesterday or today, this morning. I, period, was, period, right, period. Skull and crossbones and a skull. It says White House denies reports that Trump aides are trying to undermine Dr. Fauci. I said, Jiminy Crickets, let me play that video and see what he's talking about. Because as we've always said, keep an eye on Dan Scavino's posts, right? Let me just see what's going on in the chats real quick. Boycotting the Super Bowl, yeah. Jet lag, how you doing? Jerry, convoy of trucks, are they legitimate or actors that call themselves the Army of God? Well, if they got khakis on and white or blue shirts with a tight haircut, they're probably glowies, federales. Another iteration of the Proud Boys. Tennessee, how you doing? Another iteration of, not the Proud Boys, but the Patriot Front. So, let's see. Yeah, the attorney for, Melinda's saying the attorney for E. Jean is not related to the judge. They had a friendship. He was her mentor. Okay, they worked together. And that was not disclosed. Ethics violation. We'll get into all that stuff. But let me see. Here we have this video that Dan Scavino played. And like I said, we got to keep up with what Danny Boy is putting up. Let me find it. Oh, and I also found one of those paid TikTok videos that they, let's see. That's not it. That's not it. Wait a minute. Where is that? Here we go. This is what Dan Scavino posted. As you can see in the bottom left-hand corner with the skull. I'll cut my mic off and play it, and we'll see what Dan was right about.
Meeting, White House social media director and Deputy Chief of Staff for Communications Dan Scavino publicly mocked Dr. Fauci, sharing a cartoon of the top U.S. infectious disease expert depicted as a faucet on social media. In a message accompanying the cartoon, Scavino promised to publicly disagree with Fauci, while suggesting the top public health official had voiced disagreement cowardly through leaks to the social media. Now, Dan Scavino, who runs social media at the White House, just out in the open, put his name on it, attacking Dr. Fauci in the middle of this crisis as it explodes.
Yeah, who are you going to trust on a pandemic? A guy who's a famous infectious disease expert or the White House social media director? You know, it's a tough one here.
Yeah, who are you going to trust? Dan Scavino was right. What the cartoon shows is shutting down the economy, okay? Shutting down the schools. It was all done for a purpose, okay? It was not to protect us from the boogeyman, virus, right? So Dan Scavino was right, and we know why they rolled it out. And here's a video that'll tell you why they rolled it out. The invisible enemy, right? That's another thing I was thinking about putting on my thumbnail. You're not invisible anymore. We're starting to see who the enemy is, okay? And this is a video I've been looking for a while, and I've said it multiple times, that Donald Trump said we were at war, that he was a wartime president. So here you go.
Really happy with the job we're doing. And I'm glad that this team and me are here for this horrible thing. I mean, it's a number of people have said it, and I feel it, actually. I'm a wartime president. This is a war. This is a war, different kind of a war that we've ever had. I want to say that I know that this is a challenging time for all Americans. We're enduring a great national trial, and we will prove that we can meet the moment. I want to assure the American people that we're doing everything we can each day to confront and ultimately defeat this horrible and war. And we're fighting an invisible enemy. Think of that.
He said it twice as far as invisible enemy, and he said it multiple times. We are in a true war, and that supports my contention that we are under military governorship, basically. And Pence, you see him in the background there. I know they want to throw rocks at Pence. But I had played where Christopher Miller said he helped conduct the largest military operation in history, okay? Mike Pence put out a statement. The people are ready for Trump-Pence policies to return, okay? I'm just telling you, all I'm saying and all I'm showing is things that have happened, okay? Don't blame me if you don't agree with it. It's happened, It's raining out. I'm mad at you. Why'd you tell me it was raining out? Because it is raining, all right? Ha, ha, ha. But anyway, how you doing, Island Girl? Let's see if I missed anybody. Hi, Jerry. No closed captions. You're on the phone with your girlfriend. Hi, Richard. How you doing? David DeGeorge. What about... don't need thought. No, you guys are wrong. So we got they're saying Blazing Saddles. One of the trivia questions for tonight is, where did the saying come from? And no Googling. If you Google and give the answer, you're a cheater. You are no better than some of these demon rats. Okay? Let me. But where did the saying come from? Badges. I don't need no stinking badges. And that's what I was going to put on this picture of Trump at the Alamo. Diane said I heard Pence was going to be in the Garden of Heroes. So let me see if there's any more guesses I missed. Let's see. Yeah, don't discount Pence. We don't know the behind the scenes. We're dealing with a dangerous animal. And how do you capture a dangerous animal? You trap it. So the only guess I've seen so far is the first one. And I don't see any other guesses. So we got a lot more people in. So you all heard the do not Google question. Where did the saying come from? Badges. I don't need no stinking badge. And that's what I'm going to put on here. Bill, I don't need no stinking bill, because they're all blaming Mr. T, saying, wrong, B-Dog, wrong, Phil. I'll give it a little more time. Since we got about 40, 50 new people in. But anyway, since they're all trying to blame Mr. T for the border situation, he said in his speech, I didn't need a bill. I just did it. I used existing law, okay? Okay, you wiseacres? And I got a picture of Romney. Where is that creep? Let me find that. Where he's got a mean look on his face like, it's all Trump's fault. Where did that go? I wanted to show that to everybody. It just shows you how scummy. This is not the same picture. I might have to go out of my studio to get it. Of Romney. But this is an example, I think, of people that are doing videos for pay to push a narrative, okay? Remember, we saw that article where Biden was hiring a TikTok army to put out a narrative. Well, what I do is just click on the channel, the little, where their two faces are down there, the Woods Report. I don't click on the video because that's where the money is for these people that get monetized. I'll never get monetized because of my message. I rely on channel support from my viewers only. But here you got these people, they got 22 views. It says Romney exposes Trump's meddling with bipartisan border bill. And, I went to their channel. I did not click on the video. And that's about what they get, 50 views, 60 views, 75 views. Let's see. Roy says, hi, Yvonne. How you doing? Roy says, Dirty Harry. That's a good guess. But the first one I've ever found, Tracy, Island Girl. Now, you all didn't Google it, did you? Y'all didn't Google it, did you? Ha ha. They got it. The Treasure of Sierra Madre. Badges? I don't need no stinking badges. What were they showing? What were they trying to trade? went right after that was said. I'll see if people really know what was going on in that movie. Treasure of Sierra. And who was the big star? That's a bonus question. No Googling. What were they trying to trade? Yeah. The name of the movie was that. Now the other movies, Dirty Harry and Blazing Saddles, used it later on, but Treasure Sierra Madre was an older film back in the 40s, late 40s, or maybe early 50s, but I believe it was late 40s. They were trying to trade an item that might have been made of gold. I don't know. It was an item. And if you saw the movie, you'll know. Because it got S-H-O-T. It got S-H-O-T. Ha ha ha, this is fun. Now, see, I'll see if somebody Googled it and found it out. But if they didn't watch the movie, they won't know what got S-H-O-T right after he said, I don't need no stinking badge. And who was the star? What was the item they were tempting them with to trade? And who was the star? Humphrey Bogart. That was a star. And now, as far as what they were trying to trade and what got S-H-O-T, that makes me wonder if there were Google answers or if people really know. So I'm going to say, what were they trying to trade? And it got S-H-O-T. And I'm going to go to the music for whatever that game show is. Dun, 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 boom. Astro says concert tickets. I don't need no stinking concert tickets. Everybody's saying gold or minerals, gunpowder. All right. What's the name of that game show I'm thinking about? Daggone it. Dun, one more time. Dun, 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 boom, boom. I don't see the answer. He was saying, hey, come out here. I got something for you, man. And he had on the end of a chain, he was swinging a watch, a gold watch. Hey, come on out from behind the rocks. Come out here. Talk to me. Pow! The guy shot the watch right through the center while he was swinging the watch. So that makes me wonder. Okay, I don't need no stinking bag. But anyway, I'll put that meme together. Anyway, Trump don't need no stinking bill, okay? And look this kind of crap they put up in my suggested feed. Suggested video. Psaki reveals why Trump can't call E. Jean Carroll verdict political. MSNBC is my suggested video. Oh, let me see what Jen Psaki is going to reveal to me. Jen Psaki, who used to work at the White House, who couldn't stand Trump, who's a communist, okay? And goes over to MSNBC and just continues with the NWO narrative for CHYNA, right? Jeopardy, that's right. Gong Show. Melinda said Gong Show. I used to watch The Unknown Comic on the Gong Show. Remember that? Dun, 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 dun. The Unknown Comic. Had a bag over his head. Hi, Christina. So anyway, that's the kind of garbage they put up, like that other one. I mean, it didn't show up on my feed for nothing, the one I showed you earlier with the 22 views, as to why Trump screwed the border up. That's all a set narrative. And I wish I could find that one that was in my news feed. Romney got a real mean look on his face. But hey, Romney is walking away forever from the Senate. And everybody's talking about him and Joe Manchin are going to, we're going to team up. And Joe Manchin said he was leaving the Senate. Yeah, right. King of the losers, both of them. I'm looking for that Romney picture. Oh my God. I'm seeing some ugly folk in this setup here. My goodness. I'm going to take some time to do a picture show that a lot of you will appreciate. Holy cow, this isn't working. This isn't working out. Romney's not worth it. Whoops. Romney's not worth it. But just trust me, I'll put it up another night. So, let's see. And Gene the Dancing Machine, remember that? Yeah, misspell keywords. Pow, pow, pow. So, anyway, let's see what else we got here. This E. Jean Carroll garbage. She has, it's been found out that her attorney, Kaplan, shares the namesake of this fat, stupid-looking judge who I don't have any respect for. I'm not going to show any respect for because he's proven he doesn't deserve respect. Okay? Now, here's the way they put it out there. I'll play a couple of tape for y'all. But first of all, this report here. Breaking exclusive. E. Jean Carroll admits she told Trump stories because, quote, her book was not selling. Confirmed George Conway convinced her to get involved in a lawsuit, okay? And then there's that other creep who started LinkedIn. I look for him to be like Harvey Weinstein, that LinkedIn creep, billionaire creep who financed this. He's going to be like Harvey Weinstein going to court looking at 30 years in jail or whatever, using a walker because he's been tied into you-know-whose island. You-know-whose island. And I have a video I'm going to play where Mr. T called that island a cesspool. And I said when I found a video, I would play it, right? So I'll do that in a second. But here you got an interview. This is the attorney. She's sitting there. She's a dumpy little mess on the left. And E. Jean Carroll is beat up old bat on the right with the checkerboard outfit on. And keep in mind, Trump called her a whack job. And this erudite jury from New York thought that name was worth 80 some million dollars. When the people related to George Floyd, I think they got 20 something million when George Floyd corked off. So I guess insulting in my mind, my opinion, a disgusting individual who tweets filth out onto a household platform that kids can view at any time, okay, is worse than a whack job. But anyway, here is Kaplan here, and this was last year what they admitted to. Doesn't even get into the fact that she lied about having a dress. I'll get into that also.
Another thing that he and his lawyers have often spoken about is the lack of disclosure about a big Democratic donor funding part of this case. Was there a reason it wasn't disclosed, and did you view this as political in any way?
No, I just completely forgot that he even existed.
In your deposition?
Yes, in my deposition.
Because Trump lawyers have called that, Roberta, a sign of bias. It raises questions about the motives of bringing this case, and I wonder what the reaction is.
So every single witness, every one of those 11 witnesses who testified in this case, testified under oath and told the truth, not because they don't like Trump, but because it was the truth. That's what this case was about. Who was telling the truth? The jury decided that E. Jean was telling the truth. And there may be witnesses who don't like Trump. There may have been jurors, as Joe Tacopina said in his opening, who don't like Trump. But that process was about the truth under the law, and that's what the jury found.
Well, you're going to lose your license, okay? You're going to be out of here as far as having a license. Now, we got to remember, I had Alina Habba's discussion outside the courthouse, and it had no sound. I tried 2 times to get it to record, and that particular video, they have the power to do that on videos. And anyway, but the point is, her questions she was allowed to ask Trump were taken by the judge and edited. Her statements, she was not permitted to prevent any kind of defense or any kind of rebuttal or any kind of denial. She was threatened by Judge Kaplan with being thrown in jail. So here's the way. I got a couple of clips that they played right after the verdict, and you don't hear them mention any of that, okay? And this is what we have to remember. The majority of the population that tries to get the news, they click on the TV. They click on these bought off cable companies with cable packages that are owned by black, and then the other word is rock, okay, that force them to do the DEI messaging and all that garbage. So without them going on the internet and watching programs like we watch, this is the kind of garbage they hear. And it sounds innocent, but it's what they leave out, the power to ignore.
Former President of the United States took the stand for just 3 minutes. Again, what do jurors make of this? Let me go back to Yasmin Vasugian. Remind us about this jury, Yasmin. And I should say, the judge said the evidence in this case is concluded. So, yeah, who are the jurors who are going to be considering this?
All that anticipation, Chris, and 3 minutes of testimony from the former president. We didn't hear a lot from him. Resuming court, by the way, tomorrow morning at 9:30 in the morning for closing arguments, and then the jury will go in for their decision there. One of the things I thought was most important.
They didn't hear a lot from him. And then she continues. She doesn't talk about the threats to put Alina Habba in jail. She doesn't talk about Judge Kaplan saying, that's it, you can't say anything. They didn't talk about him reviewing and editing Donald Trump's responses. And no matter what the judge says, the bottom line is you have the right to protest your innocence, okay? To protest to the charges against you. But anyway, I'll let it continue.
Important when we were looking at jury selection early last week was the way in which they asked questions about the makeup of the jury, right? What news outlets they listened to, where they got their news from, how invested they were in the news, who they voted for in 2016, who they voted for in 2020, how familiar they were with E. Jean Carroll, how familiar they were with the former president of the United States, if they had an opinion on it. The folks that were more deliberate about their answers, right? I get my news from MSNBC, from the New York Times, Washington Post. I'm very invested. This is who I voted for. Those were the folks that were, for the most part, excused from this jury pool. The folks that were more vague were the folks that remained within this jury makeup. Some folks saying, for instance, they hadn't really been invested in the news for the last year plus or so. I think that's important to keep in mind as we think about the deliberations this jury will have to go through in making this decision, and why it is these attorneys wanted this jury to be making this decision as well. And so we'll just have to wait and see tomorrow. I mean, we could have an answer on this, Chris, tomorrow afternoon. And by the way, I keep saying this, but I think it's an important note as we talk about the money factor here. So E. Jean Carroll looking for $10 million in damages, and then who knows how much more for punitive damages. Just down the road, we have the civil fraud case as well by Letitia James asking for $370 million from Judge Engoron, plus this from the jury here in this case. The former president could be looking at a payout of $380+ million if it goes in the wrong direction.
So these people think, oh, Trump is guilty. Trump was found guilty. They don't hear anything about it being a judge that is essentially a plant. Okay, are they bribed? Are they extorted? Or are they doing it, violating the law on purpose? You know, they don't get into all that stuff. But now this was before the day before they went into the monetary damages. Let me see what this other one is here. Here we go. I believe this is it. Fox News alert. And this is about, I think this is about the after damages. I don't know if this is the right one or not. We'll see.
Donald Trump has just walked out of a courtroom as E. Jean Carroll's lawyer was making closing arguments in the defamation trial. We're going to get a little bit more detail on this.
Apparently, the judge told the courtroom no one in the courtroom is to say anything. There were apparently some counsel objections. From which side? I assume it was Trump's side. No interruptions, no audible comments is the quote from the judge. So now the plaintiff and the defense were talking about certain tweets not in evidence, possibly to share with the jury. The judge ruled that they are not going to use a certain slide that shows the tweets. And then Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, tried stating that something, quote, just need to state something for the record. The judge interrupted and said, quote, you are on the verge of spending some time in the lockout.
Wow.
Ooh, end quote. So that happened a moment ago, and I'm assuming we will see the caravan pull up to Trump Tower in Midtown Manhattan. Courtroom's way downtown. Traffic in Manhattan's a mess.
So anyway, yeah, that's where they were telling her she was going to go on the clink. And here we go. Trump Park Avenue property. This is what they were talking about how much she was awarded. Do they bring up the anything that Trump has for defense? Oh, it's too bad. The time for presenting evidence was past. That's what you'll hear a bunch of liberals say. Listen, if you're called to testify, you can protest your innocence at any time, and you can put up stuff that's germane in the interests of justice. And anyway, I'll go ahead and play how happy these crones are, these witches that work for this other news agency. You can hear the happiness in their voice. But it's like somebody said early in the chats, I think it was Diane said, she'll never see a penny of that damn money. And then Goron ain't going to get his money either. But let's play it.
Hey, writer E. Jean Carroll, $83.3 million, approximately 1 Trump Park Avenue, for defaming her. Breaking that number down a little bit more, the jury awarded E. Jean Carroll $18.3 million to compensate her for the harm Trump's caused her. They awarded her another $65 million in punitive damages to, punish Donald Trump, to deter him from defaming E. Jean Carroll ever again. We'll have more in just a moment. The 9-member jury took just
from defaming E. Jean Carroll ever again. I would be figuratively, okay, not literally, but figuratively throwing rocks at her for the rest of my life if I ever came around that woman. cuss words, insults, whatever, because she's the lowest of the low. And hey, if it's your opinion, you think somebody's a scumbag and a piece of garbage, you got every right to say that, especially when they act like one. So anyway, let it continue.
2 hours and 45 minutes to reach its verdict.
Holy cow, that ended sooner than I thought it would. But anyway, they're disgusting. But there's I tell you what I made a note about was that I'm trying to put stuff together for a program, and I'm like, there's a tsunami of information and events. Stuff is coming out. I hate to use the term fast and furious, but that's the way stuff is coming out. And there's so many different topics. But one thing I want to remind everybody of, and I'm sure many of you remember, a couple of weeks ago, Trump said, and I thought it was funny, he was so specific about the amount of days. He said, Iran will have a nuclear weapon in 34 days. Do you all remember that? I wrote it down. It was about 2 weeks ago. He said 34 days. So I believe there's about 20 days left, okay, with this Iran having a nuclear weapon. 18 days, 20 days, 22 days. I don't know. It's close, right? So what is today? We're looking about the middle of next month, roughly. The middle of next month, if what Mr. T is saying comes to fruition. So he's been warning us about World War III. He's been warning us about the NUKE option, right? And I saw some warnings in there about keywords. And new people in the chats, just remember, there are words that you use a number for vowels. That's why I spell out words or break words apart. So the algo and then the rest of the word is rhythm does not target my video. And the same with the chats. Okay. So we gotta be slick about it, because they are paying influencers. I showed you one that I thought was a paid. I mean, who gets up there and does videos day after day getting 40 and 50 views, but they mostly they put out stuff that supports the narrative, okay? So they support people like that, but they tear down people like me. So we'll keep that in mind. But let me find this. Here we've got, at first I thought this was, before I get into Iran, Mike Pompeo, just what I was saying. I don't need no stinking bill. Mike Pompeo said President Biden could secure the border today. He doesn't need a new law from Congress. He simply needs to enforce the laws and reenact our policies that worked. And that's reiterating what Trump said. I didn't need a flipping bill. I just went ahead and secured the border. But now this thing with Iran, we lost 3 soldiers. Let me get that off the screen. And Trump put out a statement about that I'll get to. But right away, you have Lindsey Graham and Senator John Cornyn. Hit Iran now. Hit them hard. Senator Cornyn, target Tehran. And I saw this on Mike Flynn. And he says, totally agree. And I thought, he agrees with those warmongers? Oh, I see. He was responding to Tucker Carlson, who called them effing lunatics. He agrees with Tucker. and so do I. But anyway, the drums are beating, okay, with these war hawks. And you got here Senator Tom Cotton. I don't think Mr. Cotton, senator from Arkansas, Joe Biden emboldened Iran for years by tolerating attacks on troops, but bribing the Ayatollahs with billions. That's true. And appeasing them to no end. He left our troops as sitting ducks, and now there are dead and 3 dead and dozens wounded. Sadly, as I predicted would happen for months, the only answer to these attacks must be devastating military retaliation against Iran's terrorist forces, both in Iran and across the Middle East. Oh, I don't think that's what Mr. T would want. Anything less will confirm Joe Biden is a coward, unworthy of being commander-in-chief. On behalf of Arkansas, I extend my deepest condolences to the family of our brave fallen. May God comfort them as he welcomes their loved ones into his embrace, and may God quickly and completely heal their wounded comrades. So we got this, here we go, from Bird Brain. Bird Brain comes out. Donald Trump wants to be the presumptive. Oh, this is about the E. Jean Carroll, but she also had something to say about Tehran. I'll get the E. Jean Carroll out of the way. Donald Trump wants to be the presumptive Republican nominee. We're talking about $83 million in damages. We're not talking about fixing the border. We're not tackling inflation. America can do better than Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Yeah, whatever. But where's her other tweet? She put out a comment about going in to Iran or attacking Iran. So, yeah, here we go. Is this it? Nikki Haley. As a military spouse, my heart breaks for the families who lost loved ones. This shows the barbaric nature of our enemies in Iran and shows they would not be attacking our troops if Joe Biden weren't so weak in his treatment of Iran. That's true. We should retaliate with the full force of American strength. It's the only way to prevent further war. If we do not, these attacks will only continue. Join us in lifting up these heroes and their families in prayer. So, you know that they never met a war they didn't like, okay? Especially the Republican neocons, okay? But Nikki Haley is just dribbling away. I mean, she's dying on the vine, so to speak. And here, I got a video of, let's see. Here we go. Asking Nikki, you know, she's got especially that business about E. Jean Carroll. You know what I want to say about all of them. Every senator I just quoted, Nikki Haley, all of them. Where were you when Benghazi happened? Where were you when we lost 13 soldiers in that embarrassing withdrawal from Afghanistan? Where were you when we left all those hostages, American hostages, in Afghanistan? Where were you guys when Kayla was kidnapped, okay, by al-Baghdadi, all right, and brutalized for months, used as a house slave, okay, and another type of slave I won't mention. Okay, then he himself beheaded her and filmed it. Trump's the one that got in there and got him. And there's pictures of Lindsey Graham and John McCain meeting with the likes of al-Baghdadi prior to that, okay? And he said al-Baghdadi died like a dog in a tunnel. Okay, where were y'all for any of that? All right, but now you're jumping on board with this kind of garbage. So hopefully things that I just talked about are going to be in the American consciousness. Okay. The biggest, there's many others, but the biggest ones were Benghazi with Afghan withdrawal and Kayla. Okay. No, what do they all do? They root for invading Saudi Arabia because of some guy named Khashoggi that nobody knew anything about or gave a damn about. But anyway, here's what Nikki Haley's got to answer, a question she's got to answer.
As it stands right now, you might be able to make out behind me Texas's razor.
Holy cow, that was a border tape. But let me find the one about Nikki Haley. Here we go. I knew it was Bill Hammer in both clips. Bill Hammer. I'll get back to the border in a minute and what's going on. Is this our Fort Sumter, like they're saying? But anyway, this is Nikki Haley, what she's got to deal with.
Coming out of New Hampshire, he won 74% of Republicans. To date, 109 counties have voted, and you've won 2, and one of those by a single vote. When do you start winning Republicans?
That clown face on it. Oh, I did. When are you going to start winning Republicans? And look at Dana Perino, you know. We'll see which way she's going. But anyway, Nikki Haley is in a way, Trump is forcing her to stay in because he told the Republican National Committee, I want to win this right. I don't want it just handed to me. I want to go through the primary process. He's going to let the American people coalesce, okay, and have their voices heard through the primaries. We've got to show them, we mean business, we've got to show them that we are going to be there. And it is going to be a huge victory, okay? We got to keep the pressure on. So in a way, Trump is putting her in the hot seat since she wants to play those kinds of games. And the people with all the money that are backing her up want to play those kinds of games too. So anyway, as far as the border goes, we've had articles like this being put out. Where is that? Here we go. Here we go. The Daily Beast. Texas border stunt is based on the same legal theory that Confederate states used to secede. Governor Greg Abbott says the federal government has broken the compact between the United States and the states with its immigration policies. What they're talking about is nullification. That was back in the 1840s, 1850s, leading up to the Civil War, and almost got Senator John C. Calhoun hanged by Andrew Jackson. But don't forget about the Daily Beast. Okay, first of all, this is inaccurate about the Confederate state theory, about the theory of it being Confederate states. Remember, the Daily Beast was involved with that so-called reporter, that transgender in the U-Crizzle, okay, that got Gonzalo Lira arrested, and the final result of that was he recently lost his life, okay? And I've said that I believe there's going to be consequences. But anyway, we have the Philadelphia Inquirer. All right. Eagle Pass is today's Fort Sumter. Biden must federalize the Texas National Guard. Okay. Now, another trivia question, since we got a lot of people in. No Googling No Googling. Who fired the first shot at Fort Sumter? All right. But why this is misinformation or disinformation? Okay. Some of these morons might not know history. Some of these morons might know history and are purposefully twisting it. Fort Sumter was federal property. And the siege of Fort Sumter began just prior to Lincoln taking office. And he said, we will not give 1 inch of federal territory, federal land up. It belongs to the government. It's ours, and we're going to defend and fight for every inch of federal land. Ken Paxton wrote a letter to the Biden administration and said about Eagle Pass, which is a state park or a municipal park, the federal government has no ownership over it. And in his demand letter, he said, we want to see any authorizations that this administration has to show that that is federal property or property that they have legal control over. Have you heard any of the news agencies say that, including Fox, including the Daily Mail, including anybody? No, I'm saying it, okay? It is not like Fort Sumter. Fort Sumter was a federal fort. It was owned by the federal government. Eagle Pass belongs to a municipality of Texas. It is not federal property. So it's a bunch of BS. Let's see if everybody gets it. Who fired the first shot at Fort Sumter? No Googling. If you don't know it, you don't know it. And that's what the fun part is. You get to find out. And I remember because I've done a lot of reading on the Civil War. Done a lot of reading on World War II. Mr. T is cool as a cucumber. You got that right. Let's see. How you doing, Doug? Astro, how you doing? No problem, Jerry. Thank you, buddy. Let's see. I'm way back behind in the comments. Let's see. Dun 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 dun. Let's see. Tennessee says government fired first. Oh, Ken Paxton was on Roseanne Barr. What did he say on Roseanne Barr? Let me see. Whoa, where'd my chats go? Come back, chats. There we go. Yeah, he talked about the letter that he sent. Yeah, I got a copy of it in my studio. I got to find it. But I remember what it said. It said that is not federal land. Now, if the federal government wanted to go through a lawful condemnation, which is provided for in the Constitution, condemnation, where you give recompense for property that is taken for the needs of the state. I served on a condemnation commission before. I'll tell some stories about that, where they try to get stuff cheap, and I'll tell a story about that one time. Man was ill. He had cancer, and they condemned a piece of property he had. He farmed for a long time, and they tried to pay him peanuts. And I was the lead commissioner on that. And I'll tell that story one day, but let me see. Let's see if anybody gets it. Somebody says, Singer-songwriter asks a question, Confederates fired first? Well, I'll tell you which side fired first, but I'm talking about and I was surprised I remembered the name after all these years. But again, I read about the Civil War many times. Have a lot of books on the Civil War. The man who fired first was, I will give a hint, and no Googling for new people coming in. No Googling who fired first shot. It was, cameraman says, I know it was the 1850s or 1860s. Well, the Civil War started in 1861. So the shot was fired. That's what started the war. Right when Lincoln was coming into office. He'd just been elected after he got kicked off of 10 state ballots. He still won, right? Astro Google, but he ain't telling. Well, that is good, Astro. I'm glad you're honest about it. All right, I'll tell you who fired the first shot. And then I will tell you that person's fate. His name was Edwin Ruffin. Ruffin, I believe. And Edwin Ruffin survived through the Civil War. He fired the first shot. He was a hothead. And he was a states' right. He didn't own any slaves. Anyway, upon him hearing that Lee had surrendered, Edwin Ruffin wrapped himself in a Confederate flag. Didn't look like anything like the one you see on the top of the Dukes of Hazzard car. But anyway, and he ended himself, okay, with one to the gourd, one to his noggin. So his name was Edwin Ruffin, and he fired the first shot. He was a Confederate. So yes, the Confederates fired first. And then they bombarded Fort Sumter. Fort Sumter was held by the Federals. And they held out for a number of days, and they were under point-blank cannon fire from the Confederates. And they eventually surrendered. And the Confederates took the fort. So that is what started the war. So they're trying to say Eagle Pass is today's Fort Sumter, like hell. That's why I'm leaving this article up here. It's misinformation. It's bull stuff, okay? Eagle Pass does not belong to the federal government. It sure the hell isn't a federal fort where soldiers reside, weapons reside. But here's the breakdown. Now, this is from a Eastern news service, and they're saying updated map, South will rise again edition. So they're all equating this with the Civil War. And you see all the states on board. And a lot of people think they're on the right. They're like, oh, there's an extra state. You see that little red point there that's right below Delaware? All right? That's not a separate state. That is, what does that belong to? Another trivia question, and no Googling. Right there. That little finger sticking down. Very tip of that finger sticking down. Here we go, right there in the middle of the screen, that little finger sticking down. What's the name of that, the end of that point? Well, Jerry, they considered federal property in their view, but that it ain't federal property. If we didn't have these kind of boundaries, what would we have states for, right? What would football teams? Is that why let's have 50 states so we can have each have a football team? No, 50 states. There's sovereignty within the states, okay? And you and I know that, but a lot of these New World Order people, they want to run it all. Cameraman says Rhode Island, no. Ian says Fort Washington, no. I've been taught wrong in history class. Who'd known? But maybe you need more truth. Annapolis, no. Annapolis, Maryland is what you're referring to. And I don't see. Well, see, people get there and they count the marks, on the map. You know, I think it's 26 states right now. No. Oh, where the settlers vanished in Roanoke. You see Kentucky and North Carolina is in yellow, so it might get up to 28 or 29 states. Cameraman says finger point. Got another Rhode Island guess. All right, I'll tell you what that is. That is, above it, you have Maryland. That is Point Lookout. Point Lookout. Virginia. Okay, that's another part of Virginia. Well, no, that's Cape Henry. I'm sorry, Cape Henry. Point Lookout's farther up. But anyway, that's another part of Virginia. You've got the Potomac River. That's a Chesapeake Bay, okay, going on up. And Annapolis, Maryland is way at the top of that body of water there. So that is just another part of Virginia. And, you know, for a long time when I was younger, I didn't know that. I thought it was some kind of little kooky northern state. I didn't know Virginia had property, as they say, on the other side of the... Let me get this shrunk down. All right, so we got Alaska firmly committed now. It didn't have that in the other map. You got Kentucky and North Carolina, and that are wavering, but not wavering, but are strongly leaning. But this is not like this Eastern News Service says. Updated map, South will rise again. No. Doesn't look like all these northern states were involved. Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, they were all in the federal side. That's why there is a West Virginia, because Virginia stayed with the Confederacy, and that's when West Virginia was created at the start of the war, when they broke off with Virginia. All right, so, and New Hampshire sure in the hell wasn't in the Confederacy. So they're just trying to make it more interesting than it is accurate. But this is who I wanted to be the VP. Now, where'd he go? Mark Robinson. He is the Attorney General for, where did it go? Well, anyway, he's voiced his support. Here it is. That's who I want for VP. But anyway, he's got a job to do. I suspect it's in being governor of North Carolina. I applaud Greg Abbott's efforts to secure our border. President Biden and Democrats have created a massive humanitarian crisis, damaging our country. Drugs, cartels, things getting worse, and he stands with Greg Abbott. As your governor, I will partner with law enforcement at all levels to tackle the fentanyl crisis, crack down on illegal immigration, and make our country safer and more secure. So that yellow part there, North Carolina, is probably going to change to red. And Kentucky went with the Federalists too, did not go with the Confederacy. So if Kentucky goes with this resistance, it is definitely not a replay of the Civil War. Hi, Donna. How are you doing? Let's see. Yeah, part of Virginia, Maryland. That's right. The Maryland owns the Potomac River right up to Virginia's shores. That's weird. But on the other side, you got let's see. Anyway, I'm just going through the chats, see what's going on. In 2018, the 17 letters said Flynn will be VP. I would be very happy with that. We need a military leader involved, one that's got clean hands, right? Here, this came out. Fake news. Trump campaign bashes Fox News for false report by RFK Jr. His running mate says never will happen. Okay, that's official word from Trump. Reports that preliminary overtures were made to Robert F. Kennedy about serving as Donald Trump's running mate are fake news, the Trump campaign declared Sunday. Okay, that was today, folks. Hot off the presses. And I like Robert F. Kennedy. I understand where he's coming from. But I remember how he stood with the dictator in Venezuela, the communist government, years ago, back in 2008, 9, 10, when he was demanding that New York basically bribe oil from Venezuela, that dirty, filthy oil, to support that dictatorship down there. And he has been a socialist in his leanings most of his life. So, no, I don't think he would work for VP. Not saying he doesn't mean well, but doesn't fit the Republican shoes, conservative shoes. But he's got a role to play. And this is for, we had people coming in cracking on Rudy Giuliani. Hey, Rudy Giuliani, somebody wants to check him out. Tune in this morning, interviewing Senate candidate Carrie Lake and Texas Lieutenant Governor Daniel Patrick live on WABC, uncovering the truth. They said Rudy's mind is going, or he was involved in criminal activity and all this kind of stuff. All the weak garbage accusations by the fake news. Tune in and watch Rudy Giuliani before you bash him. I don't see anybody in here tonight that is bashing him. Hi, Ken. How you doing? Chuck Norris for VP. My word. All right, Richard's got Nebraska's in there. Yeah, you gotta, put out the word to your local government. Send them a text or something on their Facebook page. Here we got Steve Garvey seeking to hit a home run for GOP in California Senate primary. The California primary election on March 5th. March 5th could draw more press coverage than usual, thanks to former Los Angeles Dodgers first baseman Steve Garvey, a Republican candidate for the U.S. Senate. All right. So, hey, Reagan took it all. And let me tell you, what came out of the New Hampshire situation, the dominance Trump showed, and the thing that the Democrats cannot deny, their radical wing is weak. A lot of Democrats are just like in 1980 and 1984. They called them Reagan Democrats. All right. Well, they can't call, they're going to try to call them Trumpocrats or MAGAcrats or whatever. No, they're conservative Americans. All right. They may have liberal views on certain things, but overall, they do not approve of many of things that are going on with critical race theory, with transgenderism, all that kind of freaky, far out garbage. And they're showing it. They showed it in New Hampshire. They came out in force. Okay? Formerly would have been called Reagan Democrats. They came out in force and voted for Trump. That's the only way Trump won as big as he did. Hi, Angela. How you doing? And there's no denying it. And I'm waiting to see. They came up with the name Reagan Democrats back in the day. What kind of name are they going to come up with people now? Come up for people now. They can't call their own people names too much. Now here, I'll show this video in a second. But here is Carrie Lake. And she's confirming. I said I was going to play this video. She is confirming what I said many times. And you don't hear it from anybody on mainstream media. But I said it well over a year ago, that this type of corruption goes. How many times you folks hear me say it? Your town, your county, any municipality is suffering from the same type of corruption, greed, personal power, and profit and pleasure. I said the 3 P's: power, profit, and pleasure. Okay? Right down to your local governments. Listen to what Carrie Lake's got to say.
Who told Jeff DeWitt to bribe me? I don't know. I wish I did know. As a matter of fact, I've thought about it many a day since then, and I've laid awake at night wondering who it could have been, what group, what person. But isn't it sad that you could literally, for 24 hours, think about it, wonder, guess, and that our government is so corrupt. Washington, D.C., the people back east, as he said, is so corrupt that you could literally probably come up with a list of about 400 or 500 people and groups that are behind this. And that's the sad thing. And this is why I am getting into politics. I'm in politics. This is why President Trump is in politics, because we want to make sure that we root out that kind of corruption. We can't have that kind of corruption happening in Washington, D.C. And frankly, it starts in Washington, in D.C., and it moves down into capitals across the country, into the state houses, into the municipalities. And what happens is people run for office, and immediately they get bribed, they get blackmailed, and they become controllable. And
you heard her say it. It moves into the state houses and moves into the municipalities. Any town you live in, any county, they're called municipalities. Okay? And it's everywhere. I remember when fracking came out big, okay? There was a scandal in many counties in my area where people on the board of supervisors or people on town councils had gotten themselves involved in buying land rights okay, speculating on fracking because they heard about this business coming around that normal investors or regular citizens did not know about. And then fracking kind of went by the wayside when Trump opened up oil companies, and all these crooked politicians lost their behinds, okay? And I'm glad. But you see how they operate. You know, they push their greed buttons. They get them involved in stuff. Let me see here. I want to play this goofball here. And I thought this might have been somebody that I was going to make fun of and say, that's who's been coming in our chats. Let me just, this is a short video. This is a TikTok video. And I believe it's my suspicion that this is one of those people that are being paid to put out a certain narrative for Biden. What you have on the left is Trump saying, I hope the economy fails before I get into office, not after, because I don't want to be known as Herbert Hoover. And this guy is trying to act like Trump wants Biden to fail because Trump is evil. But anyway, you'll listen to what he has to say at the end. And he had like, I don't know, 200 views and no comments. But anyway, let me play it. And I thought this might have been Climate Rider trying to make a buck doing this propaganda stuff.
I hope it's going to be during this next 12
President
months.
Obama,
because I don't want to be Herbert Hoover. The one president, I just don't want to be Herbert Hoover.
Are the greatest presidents we've had in our generation. And I'm fairly... Keep up the good work. You're an awesome president. I stand with you.
Only other president lost jobs during his term.
Could you make heads or tails out of that? What he said while he's playing that clip of Biden talking big about how he's going to fix everything and Trump being made to look like he wants Biden to fail because he hates the country. Meanwhile, this guy is saying, I think President Biden and President Obama was the best presidents ever, and I'm almost 30 years old. Well, thank you, President Biden. I salute you. And that, you know, now he might be just some dope that is lost, mentally lost, but if I had to bet dollars to donuts, I think somebody paid him to put that video out, and they're just flops. They're just flops like that other one I showed you. But here is the one I promised. I was waiting for somebody to come in tonight that hadn't showed up. But anyway, I promised that I would play where Trump said Island was a cesspool. But this is the kind of stuff that's going around to break through the narrative that Trump was supposedly involved. This is referring to 2015.
Recently came out on who went to Epstein's Island, and guess who's not on the list? Donald Trump. Sorry, Democrats, but who is on the list is Bill Clinton. And even back in 2015, Donald Trump called him out for going to Epstein's Island and even called it a cesspool. This will make you like Donald Trump even more.
Bill Clinton. Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
That island was really a cesspool. The island was an absolute cesspool. So,
the Clintons are friends
and he's
of
been
yours,
there
right?
for many times.
The Clintons are friends.
Well, I can't say friends, but I know
You're friendly.
them.
You know them.
They play at my clubs a lot. I have clubs, and everybody likes to play at my clubs.
Are you saying there's a political problem for her if she runs for president?
It could be a political problem. Look, he could be a political problem. Right now, he's Teflon, and right now, maybe not. But he could end up being a political problem.
Cesspools, and he'd been there a lot of times. Here's what Joe's got. Intelligent Joe, I salute you. one of the best presidents of all time. What have you got to say about what happened to our troops in Afghanistan and what happened with Iran? What do you got to say, Joe?
Here, it is used to make the brew beer in this refiner. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes. I wonder what it's talking.
That wasn't AI. That was Biden babbling. He's losing his mind, or he's lost whatever he had of it. Here is Peter Navarro. Now, Newsmax, look at that creep on the left running towards him. They see him come out, and they come like vicious little creeps. And he's coming out to make a statement. And let me see if I got some of these reports that people that we know see just stupid reports that come out and say, Peter Navarro has been sentenced to 4 months in jail. And that's all they say, you know. Never mind the fact that he's appealing it. Never mind the fact that he's not getting a fair trial, just like from Engoron is not giving Trump a fair trial. Kaplan is not giving Trump a fair trial. Chutkin is not giving Trump a fair trial. On down the line. And the truth is going to come out, just like this creepo Kaplan and his mentoring E. Jean Carroll's attorney. It's a breach of ethics. But anyway, watch how these petty, I'm sure some of them are paid, like that one girl holding the sign up there on the right. Keep an eye on her. But this is kind of aggravating because they're making noise while he's trying to talk. Now, when his attorneys go up and talk, they quiet down. But when Navarro tries to talk, they holler at him, they ring a cowbell, they blow a horn. But it's a little aggravating, but just to show you what this man's putting up with.
Liar. Big lie. Jail all coup clutter.
Come over here and grip for more money. Send him money. Send him money.
Hey, folks.
Oh, you again? Are you going to push me out of the way?
So what we're going to do here is I'm going to say a few words, and then make sure these are up here like this.
Come on, get it together. What's your situational awareness? Nobody fixed this for him.
Buddy, whose mic is this? You need that?
That's
Okay. So,
he's trying to adjust his mic, and the one standing behind him with a sign that's calling him a liar is saying, come on now, use your situational awareness. And you see what's going on. But anyway, he's just trying to fix the mic so he can speak.
So what I'm going to do is say a few words, and I'm going to have several of these fine attorneys behind me say a few words. But the top line here is that the top line here is that Mr. Woodward has already filed the appeal in this case. This is a case of first impressions that I have said from day one is destined for.
You hear the horn blowing, and she's back there with a cowbell, and the other one standing there on the left with a mask on is ringing a cowbell.
It is a case that really asks the important question of whether a senior White House aide and alter ego of the president can be compelled to testify by Congress. And this is where we're at. Unfortunately, the opposition behind us won't let this be heard, but we're going to do our best here. The one thing I would say before we turn it over to Mr. Brand, defendpeter.com. Defendpeter.com. This case is costing already almost $1 million. I'm going to need your support, folks, for the appeal, defendpeter.com. So, Mr. Brand?
Yeah, well, I would just say this case is now teed up for the Court of Appeals. Judge Maida himself recognized this was a serious constitutional issue. For the first time in history, he held an evidentiary hearing on whether the privilege was properly invoked. While we disagree with him, we think there's a serious question here that the Court of Appeals will resolve, maybe the Supreme Court. And that's something that we will pursue.
How much was the fine? $9,500.
She's got the mask. The one on the left has got her mask pulled up all the way over her eyes. Okay? And the one behind the lawyer has got a sign of Michael Dunn or Peter Dunn for Congress. So whoever lives up in that territory, make sure you find out who is opposing this Dunn character and don't let him get in office. But anyway, I'll let it, it's not going on very long. I could have recorded a lot more, but it was too aggravating. You hear the horn as soon as Peter Navarro will try to talk again.
Mr. Ruring, please.
Harry Dunn for Congress. Harry Dunn for Congress. Harry Dunn for Congress. Are we done?
Go ahead.
No, I just want to reiterate this is an important constitutional issue. We've always understood that this case was going to have to be resolved at the D.C. Circuit. We've already noted our appeal, and we look forward to the opportunity to talk to the D.C. Circuit.
Look, I'd be happy to talk to some of the print media inside so that we're not harassed by these folks here. But again, the important issue here is the central constitutional issue about the separation of powers and the integrity of presidential decision-making. And
so you have an advisor to the President of the United States outside of a federal courthouse, people with masks. That is the result of Dr. Fauci, okay? You know, 10 years ago, we wouldn't have dreamed this kind of behavior would happen outside of a federal courthouse, much less somebody who was a key advisor to the President of the United States being harassed and treated in this manner. This video went on for a long time, but it was too aggravating. What he said towards the end was, what's happening now will never happen again. That's what he said. And that's the thing we got to remember. It's a slow march. We're putting up with a lot of abuse, but it's being done so we can find out who the creeps are and make sure that this garbage never happens again. So let me see what video this is. I didn't even realize I've gone over an hour and a half. I got a couple of videos, but I can't go but so long. I want to thank everybody who helped me out this week. Bev and Mike, Christopher, cameraman, someone, and I know who that someone is, Gary and Aaron. I appreciate it. Hi, Spring Heel Mac. And for warm masks before COVID, I don't know where you get to. They were a small group then. They were a small group. We didn't see it on a national scale. We certainly didn't see this kind of crap outside of a courthouse. No, they would be in jail. And if they did it around my territory, if they did it at the courthouse in my territory, I guarantee you they would be locked up for disturbing the peace, disorderly conduct, any of a number of things, especially the moron sitting in a car blowing his horn repeatedly. Hey, they get jerked out of that car quick, I tell you that right now. But I can't remember if I played this or not, but I'll go ahead and play it on the way out, folks. I will probably be going live tomorrow night. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you know when I go live. And sometimes I do trivia questions. Sometimes I don't, whatever. Yeah, please hit the like button, Angela says. And Nikki's been saying it all night. And I'm sorry I stayed up so long. But anyway, that's the way it goes. So let me play this little video for you to enjoy. It's a little trip back through time, right, folks? We got to remember what happened back in the day, what brought us to this crappy situation we're in, folks. So you all have a great night, and I appreciate you spending your precious time with me. Until next time, this is Mountain Man, over and out.
Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants.
I guess I should be flattered. People are coming because I'm the nice guy. That's the reason why it's happening.
We can get to the U.S. because they're having a new president, it's Biden. He's going to help all of us.
The idea that Joe Biden said come, because I heard the other day that they're coming because they know I'm a nice guy and I won't do what Trump did.
This.
Yeah.
Remember, you wanted this.
Immediately surged to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. We're a nation that says if you want to flee and you're fleeing oppression, you should come. And those who come seeking asylum, we should immediately have the capacity to absorb them. This country can tolerate a heck of a lot more people. First time ever we've told people they can't come to America. That ends. The cage is closed. We're not going to deport anybody who, in fact, has not in this country committed a felony.
If I can change.
Do you have to say quite clearly, don't come?
Yes, I can say quite clearly, don't come. Don't leave your town or city or community.
Or if they attempt to cross into the United States unlawfully, they'll be returned back to Mexico.
And you can change.
But what does Donald Trump do? He says, go back to where you came from. That is not reflective of our America and our values, and it's got to end.
Everybody can change.
Do not come. Do not come. If you come to our border, you will be turned back.